Greetings, Saber fans. It's your old pal, Meg 2 Seth. Welcome to Tuesday, albeit way late. Day job got in the way. Haven't even had dinner yet. You can see the aftermath of the old slice and dice of Rooney, and I think they got it all, and wasn't fun. That was 3 times under the knife. And then Monday I had the old colon thing. So needless to say, it's been a crappy couple of days since y'all were last with me. I do want to talk about the rifle tonight, but before we do that, I kind of wanted to show you guys some stuff that I'm pretty proud of. The first one is this, and I'm going to try and get it so it's not overexposed on the camera. It's going to be crazy trying to make it so it's not overexposed because this camera really sucks. Now you can't even see it at all. Well, this camera really sucks. But what I wanted to show you guys, and I don't know, maybe it'll turn out there, but this is what's called a lithophane, and there we go. You can kind of see it now. And it's basically like an image, and this is 3D printed. And when you put a light in it, you see the image. And this is the moon, y'all. And let me try to get it in there again and block out the light so maybe it's not exposed. You can see there's the seas of the moon. And this thing is cool. So it's like a globe, but you put a light on the inside, and it's actually like an image of the globe. So it's actually really cool. It's pretty awesome. Hey, Mr. Mellon, Cinzy. I don't know if Mando's on here, but I'll show you kind of the other one. And I don't even know if y'all are going to be able to see this or not, but this is 3D printed. That's me and Ella and Risky. And then there's me and Jen. And then there's me and Ella and Risky there. And then there's Risky in my boat there. Now, these are 3D printed projects, and this is called a lithophane. It's pretty awesome. I printed this on my printer, and, you know, it's crazy how it works. So basically how these lithophanes work is, if y'all hadn't realized I've gone 3D printing crazy, you're about to. But how the lithophanes work is when you shine a light through it, when you have more plastic built up, not as much light goes through. When you have less, more light goes through. So you can take an image, and that is printed in plastic, y'all. And when you turn the light off, it just looks like a bunch of gobbledygook. See? When you turn the light on, the image comes through. So that's pretty cool. These are called lithophanes, and you can do them on your 3D printer. And these were just experiments. Hey, Solo Sabers, great to see you, Jeremy. But these were experiments just to see, you know, how these lithophanes went. And I just kind of wanted y'all to see how cool those are. But this is a lithophane of the moon, and it looks just like the moon. Like in person, this thing is stunning. It's crazy. 3D printed on my printer right there. That's insane. And the 3D printer's got stuff printing on it right now. Try to get y'all over to that. And, you know, after I finish this project, I'm printing a bunch of stuff from my 3D printer. But I got storage boxes going on there right now on the 3D printer. And sorry about all the shaking there. But like I'm printing storage boxes like this. So, but I'm actually printing some tall ones now. But these are like Imperial, you know, the Death Star, you know, walls. And, you know, they're just storage boxes. I mean, you know, I got 18650 batteries in this one. Each box has its own stuff. So, you know, it's just a matter of, I'm trying to clean things up. You know, since my wife moved her business in here, I need to figure out a way to organize more stuff, because I kind of had to take my stuff, which was spread out, and condense it all into my little corner of this room. And so I'm having to organize all my stuff, and I'm finally getting it cleaned up where I'm really liking it. You know, I got the lightsabers and all cleaned up. And, but I definitely wanted y'all to see that, you know, 3D printing is definitely running amok. And, you know, the blaster that I showed last week, and here it is. And, you know, I didn't really get much of a chance to show the back end of it, but there's your proffieboard and the SD card access. And there's the twist and kill key. And then you can see the boot up there. That's Tatsu Hamada's boot up. And then it goes to these Rebel cogs, which you're not going to be able to, it's not going to zoom in on that. But if you guys watch the video, you're able to see it. But, you know, this thing really turned out great. I'm really proud of it. And, you know, It's got a tricree in here that propagates the shot, and you know, that's pretty awesome. And you know, you can switch modes. So it was kind of hard for you to see it. I'm going to try and show y'all. But right here, there's a little button right below the OLED, right here. My finger's on it right there. I actually put a tactile button behind that. That used to be the reset button for the counter, and I put a tactile button on that, and that's what changes the modes. So now we should be firing in blaster mode. So that's how that worked. And then, you know, this is the original prop file. So when you hold it for 2 seconds, I'll try to show you the OLED while I'm doing this. When you hold it for 2 seconds, you should see a stormtrooper there. Yep. So that's how you change modes. If you double tap the aux, you get a, you know, it plays music. I don't want to get a copyright strike, but you know, this blaster really came out awesome. You know, if I had it to do all over again, I think what I would do, and the problem is I don't have the skills that Jeremy has, is right here on the front of the bolt. You know, you can see that little extraction arm, and then it's got like a serial number up there. So I think what would be ideal is to go ahead and recreate the bolt all the way to my chassis as one piece, and that all slides in as one piece. And then the bolt would actually house, you know, your LED module. And, you know, the thing is I'd have to cut in that greebly into the front of the bolt. But outside of that, you know, you would just put your LED module inside the bolt, and you could even house your battery up here. But I mean, the balance is pretty good right now with the battery mounted further back. But that is the Proffie E11. That's a New Hope E11, and based off the Sterling 9mm submachine gun. And this project really came out great. I linked all this in the video that I released. So if any of y'all want to print out this 3D model and install it, I pretty much left the cookie crumbs where you could do the exact same E11 that I did here. So definitely on the video, like all the links to the STL files for the gun, for the New Hope add-ons, for my chassis, my wiring diagram, the Proffie config file, I put it all on there. Now I'm going to clean up the config file, and there's actually I don't know if y'all remember when I was first demoing it, it said font directory not found on one of them. Not that one. Parastickle dot. The automatic is pretty cool in this one. Hang on a minute. Hey, Titan. And that wasn't the fun I wanted to show you. The Rebellion. This is like a Rebel blaster. And then I need to put the Star Wars theme music to this one. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of those. I'm going to move some of the fonts around in an order that's a little bit more. You know, I'm going to have Stormtrooper, Rebellion, Boba Fett, because I got two Boba Fetts, because I got two background tracks. And then I'll put the other ones that don't even sound like blasters. They sound more like guns. I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to add some more different OLED images and call that done. The only thing I have to do then is I'm going to do some weathering, you know, on the rails of all this. And, you know, the T-Tracks won't have weathering, but probably a lot of the other gun will. And that way it'll be, you know, pretty awesome. But that's the only thing really left to do on that gun is to get some weathering and move it on. I actually published it on the 1st Imperial Stormtrooper Detachment today of the 501st Legion. So I'm kind of curious to see what their reaction is, because you got all these guys talking about all these Arduino boards they're programming theirs with, and they don't even have 1/10 of the functionality that Proffie Blaster has. Oh yeah, Titan. I'm really proud of this. And the cool part about this is the Proffie Blaster. This is the same prop file that's been there since, I don't know, OS 4. Myself and Deodad Josen actually worked on it, and Deodad Josen made one of the, like, if you download the official Proffie OS SD card, Deodad Josen made one of those first smooth swing fonts. It's called Truth Crystal. Deodad Josen wrote that. Well, Deodad Josen also coded this blaster prop file, and he was actually using a lightsaber to test it. And I had a Boba Fett rifle that I was testing it with, that I was actually installing. And there's some mistakes that we made on that prop file, like when you first turn on the blaster, it's in stun mode. It should be in kill mode. When you first turn it on, we didn't have like a hum or a standby or nothing like that. Because like if you go back and read that thread on the TRA, I mean, you can see how much influence one voice can have. And it was, unfortunately for y'all, it was my voice on there. And I was like, a blaster, I mean, nobody's turning it on. There's no boot up on a blaster. It's on and you're killing stuff. And when you're not pulling the trigger, it's not on. It's like a gun. That's how I was thinking about it. Oh yeah. Brian Connor. So Brian Connor comes in, and Brian Connor's already fixed a bunch of stuff that me and Deodad Josen messed up when Deodad Josen first, coded the blaster prop file. And Brian, I haven't got your blaster prop on here, but I'm going to. I want to test out your functionality, but I got the OLED doing a bunch of cool stuff. So like the OLED, y'all, it has Imperial cogs on it for a battery meter, which to me is pretty cool. I mean, if you're measuring the energy level of your blaster, then the battery meter, which is already, it already is default that the Proffie OS does that. But I think, the big mistake was, when you first boot the blaster, you're on stun mode instead of kill mode. So I'm hoping, Brian, I don't know, Brian, you have to answer up. Oh yeah. So I'll have to go check it. So do you have a pull request in, or do you have your own branch, Brian? Because I'll go and try and download your branch. Are you no sloppy on there? Because if you are, I'll go look at it. But I think the biggest mistake that Frederick wanted stun on boot. Huh. Yeah, to me, I think it should be kill on boot. I thought Deodad Josen made it like that. But yeah, I think it should go kill, semi-auto. Well, kill, I mean, is a joke, semi-auto, auto, and then stun. And I almost think it would be cool to have like voice sounds when you're switching modes, like kill, auto, stun, but I know they didn't do that in the movies. But you have reloading sounds too, and I didn't show that. So like if you press and hold the auxiliary button down here below the OLED, that's the reloading sound. But I used a red, blue LED. Like I could do purple blaster shots. I could do all kinds of stuff. So Brian's sending me a link so I can go grab it. So I'll try and grab his one. So that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I can make those sounds, Brian. I mean, I figure I could do that. But what I wanted to tell everybody is that making a Proffie Blaster is a lot easier than a lightsaber. Number one, I had a hell of a lot more room to work with inside of here than you do, inside of a lightsaber. So it was definitely a lot easier. The second thing is, a tricree. I have a tricree up here propagating the shot. There's only 3 wires that go back through the chassis, a positive, which feeds all 3 LEDs. And then I had a negative for each red, but I combined them after the resistor into just one wire for both red LEDs. And then I have my wire for my blue LED. So those are your 3 wires, red, blue, and positive. That's all that's coming out of the LED going straight back to the chassis. Now, on my Hextler counter, you're not going to be able to see this, but, there's wires that come out of this Hextler counter and go into the gun. And I had to drill a hole in this counter to get because in this counter, I've got my auxiliary switch, which you got 2 wires for that. And then I got the 4 wires for the OLED. So those 6 wires go into the gun right here behind the Hextler counter and into my chassis. And then I have my main trigger button, which is right here, right behind the trigger. This is a resetting trigger, but my main trigger button's right here. I haven't even painted that yet, but I'm probably going to paint it. So the trigger actually works. And then those wires just go up through the trigger housing into the chassis. And so when you combine all those wires and your speaker wires in the chassis, because my speaker is up front in the chassis as opposed to being in the back like in a lightsaber. As a matter of fact, this vent hole right here is a vent hole for my speaker, but the speaker's fully enclosed until you get to that vent hole. You know, there's some things I definitely could have done better in the chassis, but I'm really proud of this. So if anybody wants to build, you know, an E11 blaster, you know, I've left the crumbs for building that blaster all over the YouTube video, all the links, config files, the wiring diagram, and, you know, my descriptions of it. You know, initially I was saying, hey, let's put the Proffie board in the magazine. And then, you know, the magazine isn't really that big. You know, I was thinking we could put the Proffie board and a battery in the magazine, and you probably could if you used a specialty battery. But I started thinking, well, that's going to get too complicated. Plus, I wanted to retain the functionality of being able to remove and replace the magazine. So that's when I decided to go ahead and put, you know, a chassis in here where the spring went. You know, that's when I made the decision. And, you know, I've seen some people, they put a lot of their electronics here in the Hexstar counter here. And there's enough room in here for a Proffie board, but the chassis would have, you know, been appropriate. So that's a good question, Justin. So where do you get the sounds from? So if you go on Plector's website, these are actually the default SD card for Plector Labs Blaster Core. And those are the ones I'm using now. The Boba Fett font, I think I bought the Boba Fett Blaster font. I think I bought off saberfont.com. And but the rest of them are, you know, stocked for the Blaster Core from Plector Labs. And you can download those for free right off his website, right off Plector Labs website. And they work on the Proffie board. I'm sure that Herb Plector might not like that, but that's how we designed it. We designed it so that those sounds worked on the Proffie board. And they're free. So it's just like the default Proffie board SD card that you can download for the Proffie board. That might be the first time we've ever like unearthed that in a video where we talked about that, because I think we were trying to like do that on the DL. But yeah, I mean, certainly that's what those are. Those are the Plector Lab default sounds, and they work on Proffie board. So we use the same naming conventions for Proffie Blaster as Blaster Core uses. It's the exact same thing. And Brian just said there's some new stuff in his, you know, prop file, which I want to try. But, you know, a blaster is simple. You know, it's very simple. It's much simpler than a lightsaber, in my opinion. And they're very, very easy to build. If you've ever built a Proffie lightsaber, then the blaster is right up your alley. You should be able to do a blaster, no problem. You know, blasters, easy peasy, no problem. You can definitely build your own blaster. But, you know, I know those should work on Golden Harvest then too. Just got to switch to WAV files and they'll come that way. I think they do come as WAV files on the stock SD card for Plector Labs. I'm pretty sure they are WAV files, but I mean, I can go check right now. Stand by. Let me go look, and I'll let you know, because I should have them here somewhere. Plector fonts. Blaster Core default package V5. Bank 1. Auto Wave. Yep, they're WAV files. They're definitely already WAV files. So, you know, which one is this? I don't even know. I might not even. It's some blaster. Let me go find the font wave on that, because I mean, I might not even have this on my blaster. Let's listen to the font wave on this.
What the blaster?
Well, I may have to go try some of those, because I've modified all these so that, you know, Vanna can have his blaster, but, you know, I have to fix them up for my E11. And, you know, I'll get the sounds like I want them. And, you know, I know I'm late. We don't have a whole lot of people on here, but, you know, it's hoping people, if they had questions, I could be able to answer them. But, you know, Justin, that was a really good question. Thanks for asking. And, you know, I'm tired, y'all. It was a long day at work. I haven't even eaten dinner yet. My face hurts. I got out of work late, and I'm gonna go to bed. I'm pretty tired. I stayed up too late last night watching Mundo's live, and I got to go to bed early tonight because I'll have a long day at work tomorrow. But the old skin cancer thing, we're good to go there. Hopefully they got it all. And, I was trying to convince Jen to let me take a shower today because it's driving me crazy. And I got hair on my head, and I'm trying to shave that. And Jen wouldn't let me shave the hair on my head and didn't want me to get the bandage wet. And I was like, man, come on, Jen. Chicks dig scars. And she goes, I don't want a big, huge scar on your face. And I'm like, well, I do. It'd be pretty cool. And then tell a story. Everybody like, what happened there? They're like, some mad, crazed madman with a freaking knife slashed up my face, who happened to have a doctor degree, but, no harm, no foul. But, Jen doesn't think this is funny. She's standing right over here, and she's eye gouging me. She doesn't find me funny. Oh, there's Jen. At any rate, hey, thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to try to have a guest next week. Brian Connor, you want to go on a live next week and talk about what you've done with the Blaster prop file and all the other work you've done on Proffie OS 7? Here's your invite. If you can do it, I'll zap you a link for StreamYard. And basically what I do, Brian, if you haven't watched, I wanted to start the Saber Nerds thing back again. Is I asked you a bunch of questions about Star Wars and what got you into it, but we always get distracted and start talking about all the work that you've done. And Brian Connor is definitely one of those guys that's, he's out there. He's an unsung, coder guy. And, Brian would be an interesting conversation for sure. He's a huge contributor to the Proffie OS. And I'd love to have Brian on the show. But, I'll put out some invites next Tuesday. 2 Tuesdays, hopefully at 8:30, not this late. And Brian, I think you're up there in Nueva York, so should be East Coast time. So yeah, if you can, you can. If you can't, we'll try to find somebody else. But we do these things on Tuesdays. But I'd like to stop yakking about the E11. I think I've published enough videos and enough threads and enough forums about the E11. I'm happy with it. And now I'm kind of interested to see how the first Imperial Stormtrooper detachment is going to react to it, because the gun that they were hero worshipping on whitearmor.net was not as cool as this one. And this one's a lot cheaper to build out too, I put the whole the purchase list and everything you need, LED modules, the tri-cree, sweet. Well, I'll send you a message, Brian. If you can make it, you can make it. And if not, we'll try to get somebody else, but I'll send you a message offline on the Meta, and we'll see what we can do. And I'll try and get your prop file on the Blaster. It probably is not going to happen tonight. I'm tired, and but thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm going to try to get more consistent about doing this again, but I am in 3D printing craziness, y'all. Trying to get it where it's. God, I wish that wasn't overexposed, y'all. Maybe I can turn this down. If I turn it down, it's too dim. That stinks. I had it working earlier where you could see it. It's the moon. It's incredible. I wish that would come out. Yeah, I wish it would come out on this stupid web camera. Stinks for exposure, but this is very cool. It is a moon, and it is printed on my 3D printer. It's a lithophane. That's awesome. This is a lithophane for those of y'all that didn't see that. This is all printed on my 3D printer. That's me and Jen. She was laughing at me there. And then there's me and Jen and Ella and my dog Risky. And then there's me and Jen and Ella in the water with Risky. And then there's Risky guarding my boat. And this is a lithophane. It's 3D printed, When you turn it off, you can see the picture there. When you turn off the light, the picture's gone. When you turn the light on, the picture comes back. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, it is a dimmable. It is a dimmable light, Justin. So when I dim it all the way down, then it goes dark and you like can't see it. You know, you can't see the details. I think I got to turn these lights off. Let me try turning these lights off and see if it shows up any better. Hang on. We'll try this one time before we sign off because this moon is so cool, y'all. Let's see if we can get it. Let me turn off the overhead light. And let's see if we can do it now. It's so cool, y'all, because in person, it just looks like the moon for real. Like where you can see it up here in this area, that's how the whole thing looks in person. It's just overexposed. This web camera sucks, you know. But yeah, that thing is awesome, y'all. It's so cool. But you know, I'm pretty excited. I got a lot of stuff going on for my 3D printer over here. I'm so excited. I'm gonna jazz this thing up. I'm going to jazz my 3D printer up. That thing's going to look totally different after I finish printing these boxes. I got some red. I got some spool of red in, and I'm going to put a bunch of covers and crazy stuff on there and chains and to, you know, watch the lights. And yeah, that freaking moon is awesome. But anyway, we got to go. It's late. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully at 8:30. Hopefully work doesn't get in the way next week. But thank y'all for tuning in. And, you know, if you have any questions, post them on the video in the comments after it publishes, and I'll try and answer them. And for those that missed the video tonight, you know, hope you catch it on the replay. But thanks, Cindy, Titan, Brian, everybody for sliding by. Justin, it was great seeing all y'all. Mundo, I know Mundo was on there initially. But thank y'all for sliding by. We'll be here next week. Hopefully we resume Saber Nerds next week. So if Brian Connor answers me solid, then you know, we'll go ahead and put up an ad video with Brian's stuff all over it. But that'd be pretty cool to get Brian on. He's a cool guy. We bring him out of the shadows and let everybody know how awesome Brian's ideas are too. You know, Fernando's not the only guy out there. Brian Connor is too. But anyway, we're going to get where we can call it a night. I'm going to put, you know, you should always remember that we do this for our boy. Hashtag nerd up. And we'll get to this other stuff. But thank y'all for tuning in, and we will see y'all next week.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, as usual. I really appreciate y'all tuning in on my channel. And as always,